So my background in PR kind of found me out of a love of healthcare. My youngest sister was born with a birth defect, which has left her for the early part of her life spending a lot of time in hospitals, which meant my family and I were there as well. So I wanted a way that I could contribute to that area. I knew that I wasn't going to do well in in a practicing position, in a medical practice position. I don't do as well around blood, guts, and gore, which I know not all of it is. But I found that my talents lied in the communications field and discovered public relations specifically and how to connect a public with an institution, and found myself in healthcare PR, and that's where I got started. Really, when my freelancing business started outpacing my full-time career, I've always had, well, not now, but before that, always had 2 full-time jobs where I was had my full-time day job, and then I was always kind of taking on freelancing roles, freelancing positions for people. And as I started to get larger clients contacting me, I knew that it was going to take more than the time I could allot for it in evenings and weekends. So it was, I guess, the need. It's going to depend on the business. If you're a one-man shop, which I'm a one-woman shop, it's going to depend on how much you can dedicate, what you think it can accomplish for you, and then what tools and where you're going to dedicate your time. Any small business owner knows if they're responsible for their own PR or marketing, that it can take up a significant amount of time and oftentimes gets left to the wayside. It's because that's not necessarily their area of expertise. There's a reason that there are PR professionals, advertising professionals, marketing professionals. Those are people who specialize in a certain area. I by no means consider myself a business expert. That's where I spend a lot of time educating myself and learning, because that wasn't my primary focus. So where do they spend time on social media, or do they spend time on social media? They first have to, as cliche as it sounds, listen to see if their audience or their community or their customers are there. And if they are, where are they at? What are they talking about? What does it look like they need? And where can you make some type of impact? Is it through customer service? Is it through business development? Or is it through the PR and marketing channels? Off the top of my head, I'd say that the wrong way is to treat it like another push marketing tool. So you say we're going to sign up for popular social networks like Twitter and Facebook and push our press releases through, push our coupons through, push our deals through, push our e-blasts through, the same messaging. Once you're kind of using the same thing that you're sharing in every channel and not trying to engage or get feedback or answer what's in it for me for the consumer or the customer, I think those are ways that you're doing it wrong. Now, if your clients or customers have told you we would only like coupons, discounts, and deals from you on social media, and you're giving them what they need, then in fact you wouldn't be doing it wrong if people are using it and they say that's what they'd like. My friend Jeremiah Oyang has some great feedback on this. And it's not necessarily that one is better than the other, but you run different risks with each. For example, if you allow a person to brand themselves as themselves on behalf of the company, you run the risk that they can build up their own network. And what's to stop them then from taking that network and doing what they do for you only for themselves? You also can run the risk if you hire someone who would be considered an influencer or someone who's large in a social space. That many times it's hard to then think about themselves as lesser than the bigger brand. So you can build someone, who does a great job of this is Scott Monty for Ford. He knows he's not bigger than the brand. He's executing in a real way. He's authentic. He's sharing. He's finding people who talk about the auto industry. But behind the scenes, he's executing great social media campaigns. It's not just that he's the front person and connecting with people. He's got a much larger role than that. And then you run the risk if you're only branded as your company without kind of a person or a front person, that it can appear not personal. Many times people connect with people rather than brand images or brand logos. So you run risks either way, but you have to find what works best for you. You can always build plans in place if that matters in your company. Or if you're the CEO and you know that you're not going anywhere, it may be a right fit for you. Well, I think what you're asking is, does everyone need content marketing? It can't hurt. Well, it can help you. It can also hurt you. If, again, you're just pushing messaging through for the sake of search engine optimization or for content marketing, it doesn't necessarily provide anything or any value. So you have to think about why you want to blog, what you want to blog about, how you're going to blog. It gets into, a whole workflow and process issue. If you're going to add on blogging responsibilities to a PR marketing team or on behalf of yourself as the business owner, that's actually a time commitment. And there's a whole world of nuance and things to learn about if you're going to blog, such as I mentioned, search engine optimization, timing, creating your own editorial calendar. And it's not to deter anyone from doing it. I'm a blog advocate. I do recommend it, but taking a step back to know what you're getting into. One of the things I learned as a blogger early on and found that almost all bloggers experience it is kind of the 6 months depression, where you're producing content for about 6 months and you think it's really great, and it takes a while to build that community or build that audience around a blog, and you can get kind of put off when you find that you maybe got 1 or 2 comments and they're from your mom and your dad. So it's something you have to stick with, keep working at. And there are great resources out there like HubSpot that can help you. And Dan Zarella, who works for them, who's a social scientist, can tell you all about the science of social sharing. So there are lots of components to it. I'm an advocate for it, but I always like to present both sides of the issue. The first is identifying tactics that can establish you as an industry expert, whether that's through content marketing, guest posting on a larger blog or outlet. That's one. The other is building a really great media list. And I know this is kind of stepping around the social media sphere, but it's a fundamental of media relations that I strongly believe in. And now that we've seen social media kind of integrate itself into the communications world, it looks something like you have one list for traditional media, you might have another list for bloggers, and then a third list for people who are identified as influencers. We've heard that buzzword, or enthusiasts, or people who are brand advocates, people that you can reach out to who would be interested in your information. So that's 2. And third, just start connecting. I just advised a girlfriend of mine from college who's starting her own business. And we talked about the importance of social networks, but also, so I guess this would be a 4th tip, building a centralized hub where people can go to if social networks went away, whether that's through an email distribution list, a blog where people can subscribe, a website where people can sign up, capturing that information from your customers or your community, whatever you're trying to build, and make sure that you have that information available. I think the highlight of my career, honestly, is being able to work from wherever I want. I mean, there have been a lot of great accomplishments. I think we have, a much farther way to go. There's more I want to do with this company and see it grow. But I love this kind of the no strings attached. I have a mobile office. I can work from wherever I want. And if that means I can cook cook dinner for my husband, and I can have my dogs in the office, that's what I always wanted. So in whatever capacity I can do that, that's fulfillment for me.